What branch did you serve in?
The United States Army.
What were the dates of service?
June 1973 through June 2003. I spent 30 years in the service, 4 years active and 26 years in the Army Reserves.
Were you drafted or did you enlist?
I actually went through college on the ROTC scholarship program, and I received my commission as a second lieutenant in the United States Army when I graduated.
How old were you?
22.
Do you recall the first days in service?
My first day in service was actually going to the officer basic course, and so it was just like going to another part of schooling, and I did that for 6 months.
Tell me about boot camp training experiences.
My boot camp training was a little unique in that it was only with reserve officers. There were no enlisted involved in the boot camp, and I did this between my junior and senior year of college, and so yeah, it was a little bit much different than maybe enlisting or being drafted and going into boot camp.
How did you get through it?
I was trained before for boot camp through the ROTC program. We had training exercises and weekly, if not daily, training programs that we worked on for about 2 years prior to me going into boot camp. And so with that training, and I was physically fit at that time, and it was not difficult.
What type of work did you perform in the service?
I was an officer through a variety of commands, and I started out being in air defense artillery, and after a couple of years of that, I was transferred into a logistics or ordnance branch, and logistics is really where we're required to take care of food, water, fuel, and ammunition for all the units, wherever they might be. And so that was my job, was in the logistics area.
What did they teach you in the service?
I guess the first thing is how to be a good commander. You know, as an officer, you're in command always of either units or sections or some particular type of operation. And second of all, then, they taught me about logistics, how to order, all the people that are involved in ordering supplies and transportation of supplies and all those kind of things.
What did you serve?
My initial service was over in Germany, and it was at the end of the Vietnam War, so I didn't go to Vietnam and wasn't in country. They transported me to, and many other of the officers, to units over in Germany, and as they were sending service members back from Vietnam, then that's where I ended up, was in Germany. And my unit there that I started out with was Charlie Battery of the 2nd of the 95th Air Defense Battalion in the 1st Armored Division.
Did you serve during a war?
I did, but I did not serve in country, and this would be the Vietnam War. I was not in country, I was over in Germany. And my unit was, for the first 2 years that I was in country, was primarily responsible for border patrol along the Berlin Wall. And the Berlin Wall at that time divided West Germany from East Germany, and East Germany was a part of the Russian bloc of countries. And so our job was to make sure that we didn't have any East German or any of the Soviet army come across, and nor were any of the West Germans or anything going to East Germany. And so we patrolled that, and we were out on patrol 20 to 30 days at a time, probably 3 to 4 times a year. We would have a certain sector that we'd have to do, and we always patrolled with live ammunition. Weapons were always loaded, and we were in tracked vehicles, and would just go up and down. And East Germans would look at us through binoculars, and we would look at them through binoculars, and that's how we did the Border Patrol. Fortunately, no incidents, any major incidents. There were some minor conflicts that happened, but nothing major.
What do you think today should know about what you went through? What do we need to remember about the war, your war?
I had many of the soldiers that were in Vietnam came back to my unit in Germany, and I think the number one thing to remember about war is that life is lost. It's devastating. I mean, and there's so many follow-up actions like we're hearing about with PTSD. We didn't call it PTSD back in those days, but there was, battle fatigue and so forth. All these were the same things that, lives were lost and all the time, and it was a very grueling effort. And we just got a taste of it as we patrolled the border and the tensions that involved. So, yeah.
Tell me about a couple of your most memorable experiences.
I don't know if I had any memorable experiences that I recall. After over 30 years of serving in different situations and literally many different locations throughout the world, there were always some different types of experiences that would happen either with the soldiers or the units that would take place. But I don't know if anything stands out as being a life-threatening or a life-saving event that I can recall. Just a lot of long hours and long days sometimes patrolling and doing those kind of events.
Were you awarded any medals or citations?
I was, and I was awarded probably 5 different medals. The very highest medal that I received was the Legion of Merit, and this was for 30 years of service in command of various size units, all the way from platoon to regiment or units. Okay. The Meritorious Service Medal, I received 2 of those, and those were for outstanding leadership and command. Army Commendation Medal, fortunate enough to receive 4 of those for outstanding performance of duties. The Army Achievement Medal, received 2 of those for outstanding performance of leadership on special assigned missions. And then one that if you served active duty, the National Defense Medal. If you're from any of the armed forces on active duty, you receive that particular medal. That's the one that you received right away after getting on active duty. So, yeah, those are the medals and citations.
How did you get promoted?
As an officer, you got promoted by, first of all, time in rank, which would allow you to go to the next promotion. And then your officer evaluation reports were very important, and then any duty assignments on your duty assignment. So put those all together, and then that would give you the next rank.
What was the highest rank you achieved?
Colonel.
How did you stay in touch with your family?
When we were over in Germany, it was by, at that time, cassette tapes, some video. We had video recorders, so we'd take some videos. We had access to telephones, so we would do that. And, of course, a lot of letter writing, write letters and so forth.
What was the food like?
The food throughout my Army career I thought was very good. When you were on maneuvers and in the field, it was good then, too. It was just sometimes difficult to eat out in the countryside and so forth, and different conditions you were in. But overall, it was good.
Did you feel pressure or stress?
Oh, all the time. Yeah. When you're commanding a unit, there's always the pressure and the stress of if you've got 20 soldiers that you're responsible for, or in some of the higher units, if we're talking 500, 600, there's just a lot of pressure and stress in command. So,
What did you do when on leave?
mostly I traveled. I was in Germany, so we were accessible to different travel areas throughout the country. So, I did most of my time traveling. I visited 12 different countries while I was over in Germany, stationed there, all the way from down Italy, I think, island of Crete, Greece, yeah, and then all the way up through the Scandinavian countries and Eastern Europe or Western Europe countries. So
Did you keep a personal diary?
I did not.
Do you recall the day your service ended?
Yes, it was last day of my service was my retirement from the United States Army, and so there was a special mass formation of soldiers and called forward, and then there was a special gathering afterwards. So yeah, I do remember it.
Where were you?
I would have been in Wichita, Kansas, at the regional headquarters for the Army Reserve.
And that ties in with the next question. Did you work or go to school?
After I got out, I was continually with education. So yeah, I didn't go back to school. I was teaching. I was high school administrator. So yeah, I went back to work.
Was your education supported by the GI Bill?
Yes, I received my master's degree by way of the GI Bill.
Did you take college classes while you were in the service?
No, I did not.
Did you join the Veterans Organization?
Yes, I did. Two of them, in fact. One was the ROA, which is the Reserve Officers Association, and the other was the American Legion, which I'm very active in the American Legion Post 42 here in Aurora.
What did you go on to do as a career after the war?
Well, after my time served in Germany, I came back in education. At that time, I would have been a high school science teacher when I came back.
Did your military experience influence you thinking about war or about military in general?
Well, maybe not so much about war, although I knew what it could happen being on the tail end of the Vietnam War and being over in Germany and seeing what the Cold War was, the potential possibilities of another war could bring. But military in general, definitely I felt a very strong desire to continue my service to my country and also be a part of the military career that I started, except this would be in the reserve as well as having a career in education. And so I continued for 26 years and with the Army Reserves, and so I thought pretty highly of the military in general.
Do you have photographs from your time in the service?
I do have photographs, and I wasn't able right now to bring those, but maybe future next week I can bring those in. You can record some of those photographs.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Richard. Rich Lemmerman.
You're welcome.